Hello and welcome to yet another video, and in this video I would like to talk about the Canon EOS 60 Mark II. It's a camera that's been receiving, even until today, it's been receiving a lot of hate comments towards that camera. And looking at the spec sheets on paper, yes, I can agree, but having used that camera for so long now, and also, well, it's not with me right now because I lent it to somebody, but having used that camera for a while, and also whether it's for both professional and personal use as well as video and photography side of things, I just feel the urge to make this video, at least just for the sake of making a video, hoping to at least help some people and why I recommend this camera. So I'll be talking first about the operational side of this camera, and then into the image quality as well as the video side of this camera. So first, the operational side of this camera. Does it bug me that it has only one card slot? No. Even I'm also a wedding photographer. Well, part of the photography that I do is wedding. I do anything, a lot of things related to people. So I do a lot of fine art, photo shoots, projects such as nude, and I also do a lot of things like wedding and graduation, and I also do individual headshots like for actors and things like that. So anything to do with human photo shoot, then that's pretty much my area of focus for photography. And for videography, I do mostly in terms of promotional videos, commercials, and music videos and documentaries. So a lot of both indoors as well as on the go kind of video thing. Oh, I also do short films for personal projects kind of thing, but for money making, it's just documentaries, music videos, promotional videos, commercials, things like that. Those are money making thing. And yeah, so first, the operational side. As I mentioned, even though I do shoot wedding, the one card slot never really bothered me. I guess it's because I don't really rely a lot of on SanDisk cards. I experience a lot of card corruptions on SanDisk cards, but not really on Lexar, Computer Bay, and other brands. Not so much. Yeah, just SanDisk and Samsung corruption. Not that it will never happen on other cards, it's just there's a lesser chance. And another trick I use is not using too high of a memory card, capacity wise. Then that means I also back up regularly and also switch to new cards regularly. So if one card corrupts, then I'm not losing a lot of images on that particular cards, especially on events photography and wedding graduation ceremonies, things like that. They're important events, but you usually shoot a lot of details and a lot of things that there are enough redundancy on the other cards already. So that's just my technique. And so apart from the fact that it only goes up to 4,000ths of a shutter speed instead of 8,000ths of a shutter speed, because I use my 85mm f1.2 a lot of times, and I hate screwing on filters for portraits so much. Other than that, nothing else really bothered me. Oh yeah, one thing, the autofocusing system. It's not that it's not accurate, it's pretty accurate, and if you adjust the settings to your liking, it's pretty accurate and fast. But is it really fast, snap fast like the 5D Mark III? Not really. I wish it was fast. It's not about the actual hit of being fast or not, but it's about the time when you press half shutter. I think it feels like it takes around 20 milliseconds. Don't time me on that, or don't quote me on that, but it takes 20 extra milliseconds to activate the autofocusing system. So my 5D Mark II, for example, this one, a really old camera, it starts autofocusing right away when I press half shutter. Whereas on the 60 Mark II, when I press half shutter, it feels like there's that little lag, and then the autofocusing system just kicks in. But when it kicks in, it's really fast. So I think when I first got it, I was so frustrated because the speed is essentially the same as my 5D Mark II, which I was like, how is it possible for such a modern camera compared to the 5D Mark II? But when I like put the speed to the fastest that it can on the mode that I was using on, then it was really fast. Like it was comparable to my 5D Mark III, which was pretty much my standard of the autofocusing system for the viewfinder. But what I really love about the 6D Mark II, not only that it has the articulating screen, but when doing photo shoots, nowadays I'm so much more used to the mirrorless system with using the touch to focus on the screen, and that means using live view, and Canon's dual pixel autofocusing system for photo shoots just saved my life in a lot of outdoor photo shooting, and it's just that good. Obviously, it's not as good as the 90D or the 60 or this M6 Mark II, things like that, but it will get your job done. It's not as accurate as the 5D Mark IV, but I don't own that camera, so I don't know all of the weaknesses of that camera. But from trying that camera, the 5D Mark IV's autofocusing system in dual pixel AF is actually more accurate and can track a lot faster and accurately and better. But yeah, I've used the live view system actually more often than the viewfinder itself, unless if I'm in the event situation, because there's a lot of low light and it's just so much easier to just put your eye to the viewfinder on the 6D Mark II when shooting in events and wedding, things like that. And I also get less distracted that way, actually. But yeah, that's about the operational side of that camera. I love the handling of that camera, although I like the grip of the Mark III, 5D Mark III much better, because it feels a lot more grippy and also like bigger. But yeah, but I love the fact that the 6D Mark II has the ability to have Bluetooth connection and Wi-Fi connection, things like that. And I just find it so much more useful than my 5D Mark III, but it still will not replace my 5D Mark III, because my 5D Mark III has a lot of features such as the image quality and the autofocusing system that I still love much more from the 5D Mark III look and feel and operation of that camera. Just makes me feel more secure using it more than my 6D Mark II. But the 6D Mark II is still a very, very good camera that I would recommend to anyone. Now into the photo quality. Yes, the camera doesn't have as much dynamic range, but do I really care about that when I'm out shooting? Not really. If I spend my time caring about that when I'm out shooting, then I will just care more about the technical side of my images than my subject and the context that I'm taking pictures of, and also the story that I want to take pictures of. And that's just not the way to approach photography, I don't think. And in general, does that camera deliver good images? Yes, it does deliver good images. Will it be award-winning technical-wise? No, it won't. But will it be award-winning in terms of artistic-wise? That's really up to the photographer himself, not the camera. But will it be able to deliver like industry standard images? Yes, and it has more than enough resolution to do so. And the Canon color science is just brilliant on that camera. Even though it cannot recover a lot of highlights, but if you underexpose, it will be able to recover a lot of details in the shadows. That's what I really figured out. And if there is noise, which there will be, with that resolution, you can just trade it in for denoising, which is, in my opinion, pretty nice. That being said, if you're shooting something like sunsets or sunrise or golden hours in general, for some reason the Canon 5D Mark III will be able to recover more highlights and shadows in those situations. So for me, when I'm talking about dynamic range, it's not really only about how much the camera sees if you put it on a gray shard from like the purest white to the deepest black. That's not my grading way, and I don't think that's fair for any camera to put it under that circumstance, because different sensors react differently to different light source and different color temperature of the surrounding environment. And if you're going to that technical point, you really have to take the cameras out to your shooting situations, on what shooting conditions you're usually shooting, and use both system or other systems and compare it, because that's the only way to get the more accurate story or information out of the technicality side of those sensors. But in terms of my personal use, in terms of the image quality, in terms of the skin tone and everything, because I usually shoot human beings and landscape, I think the color reproduction out of that camera and the dynamic range is good enough. And especially the skin tone and the color reproduction, they're really, really nice out of the camera. And I really, really highly recommend. Not only that Canon has its own color science that makes it look nice, but in terms of what I mean by good color science is also when you import it to editing software like Lightroom, Capture One, what have you, the workflow of getting that nice, perfect look with the portrait shoots without going into much technicality. I think Canon really has the best, in my opinion, color science to achieve the look that you need, especially if you want more of a natural look with a bit of contrast or just really nice look out of the camera as a whole. I think it's hard to beat Canon, but that's also a very subjective area because, you know, Sony fans will say another thing, Fuji fans will say another thing. I love my Fuji system, but for portraits, in my opinion, they can never beat my Canon portrait skin tone system. But that's just my opinion and what I think. Well, in terms of what I use. Now into the video side of things, I think that the camera delivers really nice video. Will it be like super sharp? No, it's not even as sharp as my 5D Mark III in many scenarios. And not to mention that the 5D Mark III can be hacked into Magic Lantern and shoot RAW, but that would be an unfair comparison. But what the 6D Mark II has is an articulating screen, a nice Canon color science, a high enough bitrate to do simple color grading, and also the dual pixel AF, which the Canon 5D Mark III and my 5D Mark II both don't have, which I really wish at least my 5D Mark III would have, but it came before that technology was even introduced. But yeah, for run and gun shoot type of thing, the 6D Mark II is really great. The full HD resolution, though not the sharpest, but solid enough. And with the features that the camera offers, I think you can create a lot of really nice looking videos with it. If I can create commercial images, promotional videos, as well as short films with the camera, I think you can. Does it involve a little bit more work because of the lack of dynamic range? Not really. I think there is enough dynamic range, and if you do like low contrast, low saturation settings, things like that, you will be able to grade the images quite nicely with the camera as well. Just don't push it too far. And usually when shooting commercial or promotional videos, they don't really look for too technical images. They look for more of the natural to the eye image. And that is more to do with the lighting of the image itself. So the camera will totally deliver that for sure. And yeah, for videos, it's just great. I just wish it can see more in the dark, but that's the only wish I have. And that the dual pixel AF would be more reliable. Like, it's already pretty reliable, but I just wish it's more sensitive like the 5D Mark IV or the more new 90D or the M6 Mark II, but that's also asking a bit too much out of the price range, because for second-hand of a camera, you can already get it for around 600-700 euros second-hand. And that's pretty much a bargain if you think about the fact that this camera is a full-frame camera that still delivers the full-frame look, and it's completely weather-sealed, and it's very rugged body, and it shoots at a fast enough frame rates with very capable autofocusing system, both in photography and in live view. Also the fact that it has a really nice color science, and with really efficient button layout and use, usage wise, as well as when using the camera, it's actually never failed on you. So with all those points in mind, I think for the price point, whether it's brand new for 1,200 euros or 1,000 euros, depending on where you get it, or around 600-700 euros secondhand, I think it's pretty much a really nice deal to get if you're on a budget for a full frame DSLR or camera in general. It's also a nice travel camera. It can be one kind of like all-around camera as well in that case, because of the flippy screen, the fully articulating screen, and the features that it has. It can just be one camera for everything. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for now. It's just pretty much my opinion. I think it's a great camera. Does it have the field that it should be improved? Yeah, it does. But for the price point, I don't really feel like there should be any complaints. I also know quite a few wedding photographers who use it regularly as their main camera, and they haven't complained about it yet. And yeah, I find it really reliable camera as well, which is really a nice factor when you're looking at this type of camera, semi-professional camera body. But yeah, that's it for this video. That's pretty much what I have to say about this camera. It's pretty much my opinion, the way I shoot. I don't have any major things to say. I have a lot of detailed things to say, but it would make this video way longer. But yeah, if you need a free photography guidebook, I have it linked down in the description below. It's absolutely for free, no commitment needed, no email needed. I will not bombard you with newsletters, things like that. And yeah, if you have any questions or any suggestions or anything to ask, please leave them down below in the comment part, or just send me a YouTube or an Instagram message. That would be great. Thank you very much for watching, and have fun shooting. Bye.